I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. There's another paid request, this time from Jose Ballard. It's for Grave Encounters 2. Now, I didn't mind the first Grave Encounters because I thought it had a fast pace. I liked the acting in the film. Even though the characters were they were not in depth at all, but I liked their personas, especially the lead. Well, I wouldn't say I liked his persona, but I just thought he was a fairly solid actor for what role he was playing, what type of character he was playing. I would say it was fun, it was entertaining, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. This is a sequel that I will admit, I appreciate they try to go the ambitious route, but at the same time, in a weird way, that did lose me. And made it less interesting of a flick than the first movie. And I would say I don't mind the first film. I liked it. This one, not really. It's not one of the worst. It's not one of the worst found footage films, but I can't say I was much of a fan because I didn't like the lead guy. Funny enough, like the guy who's kind of an asshole in the first movie, the lead investigator for the Grave Encounters, he seemed more likable than this guy. I don't know, just something about him. He plays a YouTube vlogger, because they try to do this thing where the first film does exist, but it showcases a bunch of YouTube vloggers chatting about the first movie. Saying it's good, saying it's bad, saying the effects suck, saying it's one of the worst movies ever, saying it's alright, saying they loved it. And one of the people who reviews it is our lead, who gives it 1 skull out of 4 skulls. And about how he hated the ending. And I'm like, well, technically you and me both. But I'd give it more than 1 out of 4. You think this is one of... Yeah, was it Alex Movie Kid 88? That's your handle in the movie. If you think that was 1 out of 4, I'll show you a bunch of fucking films. I'll show you RWD, or Unaware, or Hip Hop Locos, or Bigfoot County, or Alien Origin. Some real shit. But just saying. And the characters just annoyed me a lot more in this one. Because the lead, I get it, he's a guy who loves movies, I understand that, but he just came off as a pretentious geek. He really did. And even other people go, you have this beautiful girlfriend that you're lucky you could even get, and you keep blowing her off because you're an idiot. So you got that, you got his buddy who's just irritating, type of jokes where they have this party at the beginning And there's, okay, before, it's a party where afterward they showcase about, oh look, I teabagged you. Oh look, he teabagged you too. Oh look, I put on the internet that we teabagged you. That's like, oh great, we're friends like these who needs enemas. And like I said, I get what the movie was going for. Whereas it was trying to play it off its normal course of action that sequels typically go to. And it's like, okay, what if you thought the first film was a film? Well, you find out, no, that stuff really was real. And the instances as to how that came to be. And our lead is a filmmaker, a film student. We see little pieces of his film that he's currently making. That stuff was a bit charming. And he's getting drawn. He's talking about the problems in Hollywood, how it's all just quick cuts and giant lens flares. You gotta go back to using models and makeup. And like, yeah, I get your meaning, man. I really do. They even make fun of the effects of the first film. That's not real. Look at those shitty effects. And like I said, you have the lead, you have the buddy who's usually a pothead, you have this girl that they liked each other, but no one wants to fucking admit it to the other. And then they have a few other friends. But then our lead gets more and more obsessed with this thing. More and more obsessed as to, because he got this message from this random person. I'm like, well, you know what? If you get a random message from a person on YouTube, you don't be really fucking cautious. Of course, nowadays you can't get a message on YouTube because they took away the YouTube messaging. You can only do it via comments and replies. They took away the fucking inboxes on YouTube because they're smart. I can't remember YouTube in the movie or if it was a email, but pretty much gave him like a location, and which is where the real thing happened. And they definitely, they really took to heart people saying the effects in the first film was bad, because they mentioned that quite a few times. Like, one of our main characters mentioned the effects were bad. Even when the lead meets with the executive producer. Is that we didn't touch a hair of that film. I mean, yeah, we did some cheap effects on faces and stuff, but I mean, other than that, we didn't touch on anything. And he's trying to go for this meta quality to it. For example, the directors of the first film are the Vicious Brothers, which I didn't even mention them when I reviewed the first movie. The Vicious Brothers don't direct this film, but but the Vicious Brothers, they're just the interns, and this is actor producer. So, like I said, I can appreciate the meta that's going for, but I do think there are other films that did that meta a lot better, a lot more interesting. This is one of them. If you want to see a found footage film that does that meta thing a whole lot better and plays to the tropes and the stuff of the found footage, Butterfly Kisses is very good. Very interesting. I did a review of this, but you know, I go into spoilers in my review, so beware of that. I would say if you like those type of films, definitely check this out. I think this is one of the more underrated ones. Butterfly Kisses. And just to show the bat, just because. So. Just, like, the meta is good up to a point, but then it gets so ambitious, and then it kind of goes off the rails with the plot. And, like, what is going on here? It's not that I'm confused, but like, oh, okay, you're getting really messy now. And again, the characters seem a lot more unlikable and just more stupid. Like, the characters in the first film, you know, they've gone to they've done like 4 or 5 episodes where there's been no hauntings, so they figured it's just another one, and then they realize too late the predicament they're in. But these guys, you have your lead character that knows in his mind, in his soul, that this is real. He knows this is real. He knows this is actually happening. He knows this can happen. And he's a guy who reviewed the first film. Does he not remember that when you get into that place, that building, that asylum, you cannot get out? Does he not remember that even in the first movie, it tells you that reality keeps changing and it keeps shifting around? And like when they opened the front door in the first movie, it went into another piece of the room. They tried to go up to the roof. A piece of the stairwell was blocked off, like literally nothing there. You know that could happen, and you still want to go in there when you think it's real, and you don't want any backup, you don't want anything at all for that. You're not even going to mention it. It's like the movie's saying, haha, you're too stupid, you won't remember that. Yes, I fucking will, because I just fucking saw it. It makes your character look fucking stupid, especially one of the big portions of their character is that they so are into this film, obsessed with it, has studied it, and also reviewed it at the beginning of your fucking movie. Or is he one of those people that reviewed it, but you saw the first 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes, then just made up shit? Because I wouldn't be surprised there are people who do that. But anyway. And like, before they go out there, they're in the hotel room. Oh yeah, party! Just, the in the first movie... No, they were not the most professional crew, but they were still fairly professional and not as obnoxious. This group was just obnoxious as hell. I mean, you even get to a point where when they get into the house, not the house, I keep saying house, they get into the asylum, they have thermal cameras. Which I don't know if they ever use that again, honestly. I can't remember. But you know what the thermal camera picks up? One of the guys farting. Does they see something? Oh, is there a ghost? Wait, it's coming from him. What? You can see my farts? And then he lets another one out, and through the thermal camera, you see a dust cloud. You see a cloud, I should say, not dust, a cloud of a fart. Because you see in thermal. Oh my fucking god, man. Give me a fucking break, man. Seriously. Seriously. So in this group, there's 5 people. And there's stuff that happens, but at times it felt just like a regurgitation of the first film stuff. Hey, remember someone turned and someone had a weird face? Well, they do that a couple more times. Hey, furniture, like the bed spring flew off. Here, we don't have the furniture fly. Spoiler alert. Spoilers. One guy just pushed out the window. One girl gets split up and kind of pressed to the floor. I guess it was like a crunch. You see her eyes and mouth bleed. I was sitting there and going, you guys are less likable because you knew what would happen and you shouldn't be that fucking surprised. Like the reality shifting stuff. If you actually watched the shit and did your research, especially you, lead, Mr. Filmmaker, guy who loves horror films, you sure don't know shit about surviving in one. At least not yet. Oh, you have a rented cop that's in there. You have like a security guard. He gets shot on the bed. Some decent fire. I commend the stuntman for going through that. At one point, I don't know if that will be the cover, but one of the covers has this monster come through this grate. It has this big mouth. It's kind of a cool shot. I think it's kind of a cool shot. definitely a poster shot. But of course, that would probably like give away. Well, I mean, it's out there. People will see anyway. So yeah, they put on the poster, but that's probably the best, potentially best shock moment in the film, potentially. With like, holy shit, this is what it looks like. You know, that type of thing. And this is where it really gets into this whole confusion. Not even confusion, but just off the rails. Because it seems like there's 3 people left. It seems like they get out. When they get out, the creature tries to get out. He explodes. Just as soon as it leaves the asylum, it explodes. So our 3 drive all the way back to the hotel. All the way up, to their rooms. They go all the way down. They take the elevator, and when they get off, they're in the tunnels in that asylum. So this is all a gag. I guess the fucking thing played their ass into thinking they got out and all this stuff. And I'm like, why is it doing this? What's the point of doing this? You could just for the shits and giggles. Or it does keep saying, now this goes, they want to be filmed. They want to be filmed. Why? I guess they want a movie out there to bring more victims. Well, I mean, you could give people the fucking location to everyone who reviewed and liked the film. That'll give you your fucking... Why don't you just do that? Why don't you just send anyone the location? Send a fucking email. You can send a message. Ghost messages. What is it? Ghost fax? The ghost faxing it? Or ghost email? So the ghost can shoot a message through email? Or where the fuck? I mean... literally the ghost sent a message to this guy on his computer. These ghosts, I didn't know these ghosts were that technologically advanced. I guess so. And then they find the lead guy from the first movie. And even though it's been maybe 9 months or so, no. I think to him, he thinks it's only been 9 months. In reality, it's been 9 years. And so this guy's just fried and crazed. And again, he's the guy who's the lead in the first movie, the same actor. And he's doing the best that he can with his role, flipping out, being crazy, off the wall. He was more likable, sadly, than the actual other normal characters. Because they got tired of their shit. Like the one guy that keeps saying over and over again, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. What the fuck more needs to happen before you realize you're not in the real world anymore? How much stranger shit do you need to fucking go through? Before you stop saying this doesn't make any sense. So then at one point, the cameras start floating from the ghost. And I thought, okay, maybe there's a lot you could play with that. Like maybe a chase scene. Like imagine Sam Raimi Evil Dead style chase. But okay, with the technology today, the ghost can hold the camera. And then it's following our characters throughout the asylum. And because it's a ghost, you have to worry about it walking. You can glide, do whatever the fuck he wants. Now you can really get some creative visual dynamic sequences out of that. No. Just apparently a shitload of cameras they're all holding. That's if they want to be in front of fucking Radio Shack. So the guy from the first film, he gets spoilers. 3, 2, 1 spoilers. He gets possessed. The guy from the first film, he gets possessed, kills one of the last remaining 3. There's 2 left. The lead guy and the guy from the first movie fight. And then the CGI shitty looking portal opens up for some fucking reason. which I didn't understand. Granted, even the guy's asking, I did what you told me to. So I could assume the ghost keeps saying, finish the film. That's the message keeps saying, finish the film, finish the film. So I guess they we don't want this motherfucker to do it. So we don't have this horrible looking CGI portal pull this character through to his death. I guess. And then the lead guy, I didn't understand if he was possessed or if he just went crazy. Because he goes, I know what I need to do. It wants me to finish the movie. You're the star. Proceeds to grab her, kill her, smash her, crack her head open with the camera. Which, I didn't know cameras could do that. I figured one hit they fucking break, but maybe there's some tough-ass cameras. And he does escape. So I guess he does have some kind of survivor goal he was taught by horror movies, but he gets arrested, he gets let out, he's with the executive producer, and making his movie, which is Grave Encounters 2. And again, the fact you don't, I understand there are many films you can enjoy where you don't like a lot of the characters. Reservoir Dogs, a lot of those characters are just very iffy, but maybe you enjoy them because of their personality or the dialogue or something else entirely. Here, I don't really get that, and the lead guy is definitely a piece of shit for what he did at the end. Even the guy in the first movie, he was still holding the girl, and then the mist comes up, and she disappears, and he's frantic, where are you? He tears, he's looking for him. He might not be perfect, but better than this fucking douchebag. But yeah, maybe the end, maybe he was possessed, maybe that's the point. I'm assuming, because if they possess that guy, they probably possess this guy too, so. But it just didn't seem like they painted in that way within the film. It seemed like, no, he reached a realization, and this is what he's going to do so he can live and finish his film. I don't know what direction truly they were going with. And like I said, this whole thing with the portal and going out of the asylum, going back to the hotel, oh no, we're still in there, and it's like it tried, in my opinion, it tried to be too ambitious. And like I said, there was not as much thrills to me as the first movie. And there was not as much over-brimming with, oh, what's going to happen next? And again, the stuff that happened there, a lot of it you just saw in the first movie. There wasn't a lot of seemingly new stuff added in, as much as it could have. I mean, technically the portal, and I guess that's really the stuff added in, so I guess you could argue with that, but just, I don't know. Just did not care for Grave Encounters 2. Didn't care for the characters. I like the simplicity of the first movie. Again, going more crazier, or twisting it. I understand that there's benefits to that, but I don't know if it needed to be done in this movie. That's just me. And this I probably like this ending less than the first movie's ending. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.